All right. Hello, everybody. This is Daniel Barrett here from motivatedsellerleads.com. As always, if you want to talk to me or my team about getting more motivated seller leads for your own real estate investing business, that's the place to go, motivatedsellerleads.com. Hey, excuse me. I want to talk about a sensitive subject. I want to talk about mindset. And if you cringe a little bit when someone talks about mindset, you're not alone, my friend. I share that reaction. I am very skeptical of mindset in general. And generally, when people talk about mindset, I tend to kind of shut down. I don't particularly like it. I find it hard to define it. I find it hard to figure out what the benefit is, yada, yada. But there is a sense, and I was thinking about this today, there is a sense in which mindset has a very practical and realistic impact on how you do deals and how much money you can make with online marketing doing real estate investing. And that's in the sense of this. Okay. Instead of assuming that mindset means, how you feel and, are you a positive thinker or anything like that? Let's think about mindset as the collection of mental models you bring to what you do. Now, if you reframe it like that, it's a little bit easier, at least for me, to see how mental models impact what we do in the business world, right? Like if you're a real estate investor, you might have a mental model where risk is valuable because those who risk win big, and you may lean into higher risks than most. That's a mental model of the world, right? It's sort of a framework for how you understand how the world works, right? Who dares wins. And an investor with that mindset, that set of mental models, is going to be a very different investor from the kind of investor that says, you know what? Risk is what gets investors killed. Risk and leverage is what causes investors to go bankrupt. And instead, what you need is a hard and fast set of rules that you never break. Now, an investor with that set of mental models, that framework for understanding how the world works, these two people are going to invest in very different deals, and their businesses are going to work very differently. And I'm not even saying one is better or worse. I'm just saying they're very different. So in that sense, mindset is critical when you assume that it is, instead of some kind of amorphous feelings-based thing, it is your set of mental models for dealing with the world around you. Now let's bring this directly into online marketing, okay? When investors get into online marketing, whether you know it or not, whether you are kind of involved in online marketing in any way, whether you have any experience with it, you bring to it a set of mental models. One of the easiest ones to understand is your expectations, okay? If you are an investor, let's say, that has a lot of experience with radio or a lot of experience marketing with direct mail, you may bring to online marketing a set of assumptions and expectations that align with what you did in the past. So for example, direct mail is primarily a low cost per lead, low conversion rate form of marketing. What do I mean by that? I mean primarily every individual lead doesn't cost a ton to produce. You get a list, you get the pieces of mail. Generally, the price of mail is, it's gotten cheaper in terms of producing the pieces and all that. So it's relatively cheap to send out, thousands upon thousands of letters. You may get a few calls from that. You may close one of those calls. So although maybe you mailed 10,000 pieces, you got one deal, the conversion rate, meaning the percentage of people that turn into deals for you, is quite low. The cost is low, and it all works out, right? Low cost, low conversion rate, but hey, you can mail a lot, and it's a great form of marketing. I am not saying direct mail is not a good form of marketing. There is a reason direct mail has been the go-to for investors since real estate investing was a thing, okay? Now, if you bring that set of expectations, which is completely valid and completely accurate, and you bring it to online marketing, what happens? Let's say you go, into, I'll just say Google Ads, and you are running your Google ads and you realize your cost per lead in Google is $200 a lead. Not a deal, a lead. That might instill in you a sense of panic because you're used to leads costing $5, $10, whatever they cost in direct mail. Now, let's say you run your Google ads simultaneously with running Facebook ads. And you realize my Facebook ads are actually much more similar to my direct mail. My Facebook ads are only costing me, let's say, $20 a lead. That's 1/10 the cost of what I'm paying in Google ads. So if you are bringing to this situation the set of mental models that you get from direct mail, which of these two, Google ads or Facebook ads, are you going to lean into? You're going to lean into Facebook ads because you're like, look, that's what I expected. It's much closer to what I'm used to paying. You know, 200 is far too much to pay per lead. And you're going to end up going with Facebook ads. And again, I am not saying this decision is the wrong decision. I don't really believe there is a right or wrong. There's only right for you. But you will notice that we have been talking this entire time about cost per lead. The cost per lead in Google was $200. The cost per lead in Facebook was $20. But if it only takes you 10 of those Google leads to close a deal, that makes your cost per deal acquisition $2,000. And if it takes you 100 leads on Facebook to close a deal, that makes your cost per deal acquisition $2,000. In this situation, these channels, this hypothetical situation I'm putting to you here, these channels have identical impact on your bottom line. They both produce deals at $2,000 per deal. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Obviously, the numbers aren't all the same. I'm setting this up, right? But my point here is that we are not making an objective, rational, sort of 30,000 view decision about what's happening. We are bringing to this situation a set of prior assumptions, expectations, and mental models that are going to affect how we react. And it's one thing when your channels are producing the exact same amount at the exact same cost. But I've seen this happen and really sabotage people in situations where they were making money. I tell this story all the time. We had a client at AdWords Nerds. We had a client come in. We were running his ads for him. It was a relatively big investor. I won't kind of say where it was because I don't want to encroach on anybody's privacy or anything like that. But a relatively big investor. And he closed in deals over, I think it was like 3 or 4 months that he was with us, closed $100,000 in deals. $100,000. I will be the first to say this is not our average performance, right? This is better than average by a significant margin. Not only that, he's spending around 3 or 4K a month. So you could subtract off that, let's say 12K or something like that. Let's say, another 5 or 10K or whatever it was. Let's just round up, say he spent 25K all in to run these ads, which I think is a significant overestimation, but whatever. Let's just say that. That means he puts in $1 into this machine, he gets $4 out. Okay? If you were a stock investor and that was your return, you would be the king of Wall Street. And what did this client do? He left at the end of 4 months. And I said, I got on the phone with him and I was like, listen, I really want to understand this because I was actually setting this up to be like a testimonial, right? I was going to call and get a testimonial and yada, yada, yada. We're going to put it on the website. We're going to talk about it as a case study. But I found out he was leaving. So I was like, yeah, listen, I want you to do exactly what's right for you. We never pressure anyone to stay when they don't want. We say, hey, if it's right for your business, it's right for your business. You know best. I wish you the best of luck, whatever you need. But I really want to understand this decision because from my point of view, this is incredible ROI. So I'm curious, why are you leaving? And his answer was, the cost per lead is too high. Now, I'm not saying he made the wrong decision. I'm not. He knows his business better than I do. But in my world, right, if I put in $1 and I get $4 out, I'm going to keep doing that thing. My only point to you here is that in every situation, this includes online marketing, we bring to the situation a set of prior assumptions, expectations, and mental models. That's your mindset. And if you want to make the maximal amount of money, you want to optimize your business, you have to get used to the idea that you have these presuppositions, that we're not objective. And you need to be able, as much as possible, to step back and look at that situation as it really is. And that's how mindset affects real estate investors. I hope that makes sense. As always, you want to talk to me. You want to learn what investors are doing. You want to know the strategies that are working right now. You want to talk to our team and develop a strategy for your market with no commitment necessary. MotivatedSellerLeads.com. Happy to jump on the phone with you and talk it through. As always, this is Daniel Bear from AdWords Nerds signing off. Have an awesome rest of your day. Cheers.